Hey everyone, welcome back to Extreme IE. In this video, pretty short video, we're going to talk about endpoints and servers, or servers and endpoints. Now, most of you know what these are, even if you don't know that you know what these are, and it's pretty simple. Endpoints are essentially any device that's going to connect to your network in order to utilize what your network is providing. So, for example, this could be your laptops, your printers, your smartphones, tablets, things like that. Anything that's going to connect into your network, either wired or wireless, in order to utilize the data that's on your network. So imagine that you have, a website or an intranet portal where only your employees have access to. They're going to connect to that intranet portal with something, right? So anytime you have a device, anytime you have any of these things that are connecting into your network, to utilize what's on the network, that's going to be considered an endpoint. Now, a server, on the other hand, is a little bit different. Now, technically speaking, if you really take a step back and you overanalyze, a server technically is an endpoint, but a server does a different job than an endpoint. Think of an endpoint as the consumer and think of the server as a provider, where the server is actually providing the data or providing the information that your endpoint is looking for. Now, I just went out there to the interwebs and I grabbed a picture of Facebook's data center. Now, you obviously know what a tablet looks like, you know what a smartphone looks like, and a desktop and a laptop, but a server, at your level, if you're just starting out and you've never been in a data center, a server is a lot different than an endpoint. It's a lot different than a desktop. Think of it as a desktop on steroids. And here you can see that these are, and I know the white ink is probably a little bit hard to see as I'm whiteboarding over this, but these are all different server racks. These are long, tall cabinets that are about, maybe, I would say 6.5, maybe 7 feet tall. And they're just filled with what we would call rack mount servers. Let me actually go to the next view here, because this picture really shows the difference, I think, between a server and a desktop, or a server and a laptop. While the components are very similar, so you're going to have a network card where you plug in a network cable, you're going to have a power, port where you plug in power. A lot of times these guys are going to be redundant. So if you look down this column here, you're going to notice that there are 2 power cables going into each server, because servers typically have a redundant power supply. So if you lose one power supply, you have another. Now there's a server. Let me actually change the color here. We'll pick red here for a second. There's a server here. I'm going to draw a couple circles so it draws your eye there. And you'll notice that it has multiple network ports. That's because most of the time servers are going to have more than just one network port. The minimum typically that I see is 3. That server, a server that would be similar here would be maybe this one here, where you see 3 different network ports. Actually, this one has 4. A lot of times you may have one as what we would call a lights out management port. That's a port that's on the network and it's always on whether the server's powered on or not. You can typically remotely power on the server from that. Then a lot of times you'll have a separate management card, and then you may have 2 individual network cards. And we would generally do what we would call NIC teaming. Let me just kind of explain this here, and I know this may be getting a little bit more in depth than what you'll see on your CCNA, but I want to explain. Again, I don't really need to spend too much time in endpoints, right? You know what a printer is, a desktop, laptops. Those are all pretty simple things. But a server can have something called NIC teaming, where you may have 2 individual network cards on a server, but you plug them into what could be 2 different switches, and these switches, go out into the rest of your network, and you ask your server to consider these 2 network cards as one. Now, there are different configuration things you need to go through in order to do that. You need to tell the switch that they need to, and you can only do this with certain kinds of switches. So you need to tell these 2 different switches to treat these 2 ports as one, and then that server treats these 2 network cards as one. And again, that adds redundancy, right? So if you lose one network card, you have a second one. So the server is always up and running. And these are the servers that essentially provide you with, file and print services. You all have file servers at work where you go and you grab various different documents and you save your own documents. This could be all the different websites that your company is serving up. This could be all the different databases that hold your customer data, things like that. So these are the differences between endpoints and servers. And the idea of a network is to provide the means for your endpoints, your laptops, desktops, iMacs, all that kind of different stuff, to be able to communicate with the servers that are providing with that data, or that are providing you with that data, right? Even the internet, at the end of the day, what you're connecting to is a server hosted somewhere in the internet. By the way, there's no real such thing as the cloud. The cloud is just somebody else's server at the end of the day. So when you connect into the cloud and you're looking for a website, or you're looking for any type of data, even Google, you're connecting to a server on the other end of the internet, and the whole object of the internet and that network that separates your endpoint, your home laptop, and Google's server is the network that you, as a network administrator, network architect, engineer, whatever your job title is responsible for maintaining. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys in the next one.